Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1. We are going to read from text 18 today. Does anyone remember what we have been reading?
We have been reading about the bhakti, and we started like how Kapila Dev was instructing Devahuti Mata on one of the shlokas about like how if a Chandal, a person born in a Chandal family, if he remembers Krishna with love, then he's considered greater than Brahmana. Then what of the person who have seen Krishna? And they were telling about the bhakti, that there are two kinds of bhakti. One is that is santata, I think that is continuous, and the other one was kada kada kadanchit kadanchitki kadachitki, that was not continuous. And kadachitki was also divided, santata was divided into two parts. That was kinchit and rag anuga. And there was another division again of kadachitki also. And then they were also telling about that how the sun, the bhakti is so powerful that even if the sun comes out, then it kills all the fog is all disappears. So it is just that if you do bhakti, then it can just take away all your sinful activities. And a true devotee doesn't want any liberation or nothing. He just wants to serve Krishna with love, the goal. And then I think you also mentioned about Narayan Para. Who are they?
Narayan Parayana.
Yeah, Narayan Paraya. So that they are the one who don't want to go to any heaven or hell. They are not scared, they're not scared to go to heaven or hell. But they are the Narayan Para who are not scared. They are abhay, that no matter where they go, but they just want love of Krishna. They are the Narayan Paraha. So
yes, thank you so much.
And one more thing, that a devotee always thinks that wherever he is, that is the best place according to Krishna for him. That is the mercy of Krishna, that whatever situation he's in, he always thinks that is the mercy of Krishna.
And how does one come to that consciousness?
By the association of devotees and the mercy of Mahajan. The last part was the Mahajan, because they follow the path of Mahajans. In association, they follow the path of Guru Mahajan, and then they can get that bhakti. They can get that.
Yeah. So by serving the devotee.
Serving the devotee.
They can get the consciousness of the Tenukampam, of accepting Krishna's will, understanding that's the best situation. Thank you so much. So we'll continue with text 18. Prayaschitani chirnani. I'm sorry.
Prayaschitani chirnani.
Narayana paranmukham.
Narayana paranmukham.
Na nishpunanti Rajendra.
Na nishpunanti
Nishpunanti
Rajendra.
Rajendra.
Sura kumbham ivapaga.
Sura kumbham iva
Kumbham
apagaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear King, as a pot containing liquor cannot be purified, even if washed in the waters of many rivers, non-devotees cannot be purified by processes of atonement, even if they perform them very well. To take advantage of the methods of atonement, one must be at least somewhat devoted. Otherwise, there is no chance of one's being purified. It is clear from this verse that even those who take advantage of Karma Kand and Gyan Kand, but are not at least slightly devoted, cannot be purified simply by following these other paths. The word Prayaskitani is plural in number to indicate both Karmakand and Gyankand. Narottam Das Thakur therefore says Karmakand, Gyankand, Kevala Vishir Bhav. Thus, Narottam Das Thakur compares the paths of Karmakand and Gyankand to pots of poison. Liquor and poison are in the same category. According to this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, a person who has heard a good deal about the path of devotional service, but who is not attached to it, who is not Krishna conscious, is like a pot of liquor. Such a person cannot be purified without at least a slight touch of devotional service. So Sukadev Goswami is saying, what's the use of atonement without any contact with devotional service? Because atonement cannot actually purify one. As we read earlier, no, the desire to sin is still going to be there. So Karma Kand and Gyan Kand are like that. So even if one wants to do atonement, then at least have to have some touch with devotional service. Otherwise, that atonement is again going to lead one to commit sinful activities. Sakran mana Krishna padaraya vindayo.
Sakran Mana Krishna Padaraya
Vindayo.
Niveshitam tad gunaragiye iha.
Niveshitam tad gunaragiye iha.
Natam yamam pashabritash tad bhatan.
Nate yamam pashvritacha tadvratan.
Swapne pipashyanti hichirna nishkritaha.
Sapne vipaschanti chirna nishkritaha.
Although not having fully realized Krishna, persons who have even once surrendered completely unto his lotus feet and who have become attracted to his name, form, qualities, and pastimes are completely freed of all sinful reactions, for they have thus accepted the true method of atonement. Even in dreams, such surrendered souls do not see Yamaraj or his order carriers, who are equipped with ropes to bind the sinful. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18.66, Sarva dharman parityagya mam ekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. So we can see why Krishna is saying, surrender unto me. We are telling everyone, surrender unto me, but we are not able to take away their sinful reactions. We want everyone to surrender unto us, but we cannot give them the protection to take away their sinful reactions. But Krishna can. When Krishna is saying, surrender unto me, he's not stopping there. He's saying, I'll take away all your sinful reaction. Do not fear. This same principle is described here. Sakrinmana Krishna Padahar Ravindayo. If by studying Bhagavad Gita, one decides to surrender to Krishna, he is immediately freed from all sinful reactions. It is also significant that Sukadeva Goswami, having several times repeated the words Vasudev Parayana and Narayan Parayana, finally says Krishna Padara Vindayo. Thus he indicates that Krishna is the origin of both Narayan and Vasudev. Even though Narayan and Vasudev are not different from Krishna, simply by surrendering to Krishna, one fully surrenders to all his expansions, such as Narayan, Vasudev, and Govinda. So Prabhupada is saying that in earlier cantos also we have heard Vasudev Parayana. Now we heard Narayan Parayana. And now finally Sukadeva Goswami is saying Krishna Padara Vindayo. So Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original personality of Godhead. So when one surrenders to Krishna, automatically one is surrendering to Narayan. Automatically one is surrendering to Vasudev, to Lord Nishinga, to Lord Ramachandra, because everyone is included in Krishna. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.7, Mata Parataram Nanya, there is no truth superior to me. So, we may make the research work. We may try to do some research of absolute truth. But we have to come to the point of Krishna. And when we come to the point of Krishna, then we surrender there. Because there is no one greater than or equal to Krishna. There are many names and forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna is the supreme form. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So we see God has so many expansions, incarnations. Lord Nishingadev, Matsya, Kurma, Lord Ramachandra, Vamandev, so many. But the original form of God is Shamsundar Krishna, holding a flute in his hands, peacock feather in his hair. Therefore, Krishna recommends to neophyte devotees that one should surrender unto him only, Mam Ekam, because neophyte devotees cannot understand what the forms of Narayan, Vasudev, and Govinda are. Krishna directly says, Mam Ekam. Herein, this is also supported by the word Krishna Padara Vindayo. Narayan does not speak personally, but Krishna or Vasudev does, as in Bhagavad Gita, for example. Therefore, to follow the direction of Bhagavad Gita means to surrender unto Krishna, and to surrender in this way is the highest perfection of Bhakti Yoga. So Krishna wants us to surrender. Krishna is saying directly, surrender unto me. So means Krishna wants us to engage in bhakti. He wants that. He's saying, I will deliver you from sinful reactions. Don't fear. We just heard of this different types of hellish planets, 28 types. What sinful activities we do, what hellish planets we go to. Krishna is saying, you surrender unto me, and I shall deliver you. So Parikshit Maharaj had inquired from Sukadev Goswami how one can be saved from falling into the various conditions of hellish life. In this verse, Sukadev Goswami answers that a soul who has surrendered to Krishna certainly cannot go to Narak, hellish existence, to say nothing of going there. Even in his dreams, he does not see Yamaraj or his order carriers who are able to take one there. In other words, if one wants to save himself from falling into Narak, hellish life, he should fully surrender to Krishna. So Sukadev Goswami is saying, what about going to hell? One who has surrendered to Krishna, the Yamadutas, they won't even come in his dreams. The word Sakrit is significant because it indicates that if one sincerely surrenders to Krishna once, he's saved. even if by chance he falls down by committing sinful activities. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9.30, Apichet sudaracharo bhajate mam ananya bha sadhur eva samantavya samyagya vasito hi sa. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. If one never for a moment forgets Krishna, he is saved, even if by chance he falls down by committing sinful acts. So Krishna is saying one who is a devotee is not, he's to be considered saintly. Sometimes by mistake one may commit, the devotee may commit by error some kind of sinful activity, but he's not to be considered sinful. He's still considered saintly. So of course we should not take advantage of this. This is for one who is, who's like completely surrendered to Krishna and really out of just by chance one commits sinful activity, not intentionally. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita 240, the Lord also says, Neha vikrama nashoste pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So Krishna is saying just a little beginning in devotional service can protect us from going to hellish life, can protect us from getting into animal life. He's saying just a little advancement. So even little bhakti, devotional service is never lost, and it saves us. Elsewhere in the Gita 640, the Lord says, Nahi kalyana krit kaschid durgatam tat gacchati. One who performs auspicious activity is never overcome by evil. The highest kalyan, auspicious activity, is to surrender to Krishna. So Krishna is saying one who performs auspicious activity is never overcome by evil. So then what is the auspicious activity? We may think auspicious activity may be to do some ritual, but the most auspicious activity, the highest, is surrender to Krishna. That is the only path by which to save oneself from falling down into hellish life. So surrender to Krishna. Krishna is saying, you surrender to me, I will save you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has confirmed this as follows. This is in Caitaniya Caritamita 5. Kevalyam narakayate tridashapur akash pushpayate durdantendriya kala sarpapatali prokhata damstrayate vishvam purna sukhayate vidhi mahendra dischakitayate yad karunya kataksha vaibhavava tam gauram evastumaha. The sinful actions of one who has surrendered unto Krishna are compared to a snake with its poison fangs removed. Prodkhata damstrayate. Such a snake is no longer to be feared. So Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, he is saying in Caitanya Caritamita, what is he saying? The snake has poison fangs, right? But he's saying one who has surrendered to Krishna, so it's like a snake, the poison fangs are already removed. So there's no fear of such a snake. We fear snake because, oh, he's going to bite me with the poisonous fang and I will die. But if the snake cannot bite, then what's the fear of the snake? Of course, one should not commit sinful activities on the strength of having surrendered to Krishna. However, even if one who has surrendered to Krishna happens to do something sinful because of his former habits, such sinful actions no longer have a destructive effect. Therefore, one should adhere to the lotus feet of Krishna very tightly and serve him under the direction of the spiritual master. Thus, in all conditions, one will be akuto bhaya, free from fear. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here that one who has surrendered to Krishna, but because of some habit, one may again take up some sinful activity. But because he has surrendered to Krishna, this sinful activity will not have destructive effect. So by all ways, we are being convinced to take shelter of Krishna very tightly for our benefit, so that we can be safe from hellish life. This is the question that Parikshit Maharaj is asking. How can one be safe from hellish life? So Sukadev Goswami is saying devotional service, surrender to Krishna. This is what Krishna is also saying in Bhagavad Gita. And that will make one fearless. Fearless at the lotus feet of the Lord. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Shilpa ji. In this, we also mention that यदि कोई निष्ठापूर्वक एक बार भी भगवान श्री कृष्ण की शरण ग्रहण करता है तो उसे बचा लिया जाता है, भले ही पाप कर्म करने के कारण संयोगवश वह नीचे गिर गया हो. So is it that it applies to the Ajāmila also?
Yes, now that's why we are going
Right.
to hear Ajāmila's story.
No, but I'm just asking that this line also applies to Ajāmila, because he also,
Yes,
he was the
yes,
good Brahmin. Okay.
yes, yeah. That's right.
Okay.
Atra chodaharantimam.
Atra
Atra choda
chodaharanti
udarahanti imam.
Itihasam puratanam.
Itihasam puratanam.
Dutanam
Dutanam Vishnu Yamayo.
Samvadastam nibodhame.
Samvadastam nibodhame.
In this regard, learned scholars and saintly persons describe a very old historical incident involving a discussion between the order carriers of Lord Vishnu and those of Yamaraj. Please hear of this from me. The Puranas or old histories are sometimes neglected by unintelligent men who consider their descriptions mythological. Actually, the descriptions of the Puranas or the old histories of the universe are factual, although not chronological. So the Puranic stories, they are real stories, they're not mythology, but they are not put in the order that they happen. They're not recorded chronologically. It may just, some story, some incident which happened earlier, may be mentioned later, like that. But they're all true facts. The Puranas record the chief incidents that have occurred over many millions of years, not only on this planet, but also on other planets within the universe. Therefore, all learned and realized Vedic scholars speak with references to the incidents in the Puranas. Srila Rupa Goswami accepts the Puranas to be as important as the Vedas themselves. Therefore, in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, he quotes the following verse from the Brahma-yamala. Shruti Smriti Purana Adi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Ekantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpata Yeva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narad Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. So Srila Rupa Goswami is explaining to us the importance of following Puranas, Upanishads, and Narad Pancharatra. He's saying someone who is saying that they are following devotional service, but they are not following the scriptures, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Puranas, Pancharatra. They are just simply creating disturbance in the society. So in other words, he's trying to say that we need to engage in devotional service following the rules and regulations which are mentioned in the scriptures. A devotee of Krishna must refer not only to the Vedas, but also to the Puranas. One should not foolishly consider the Puranas mythological. If they were mythological, Sukadeva Goswami would not have taken the trouble to recite the old historical incidents concerning the life of Ajāmila. Now the history begins as follows. Is that okay?
Yes.
Kanya kubje dvija kaschet
Dvijakaschet
dasi patir Ajāmila
Dasi Pati Ajāmila
namna nashta sadacharo
Namna Nashto Sadacharo
dasya samsarga dushitaha.
Dasya Samsarga Dushitaha
In the city known as Kanya Kubja, I'm sorry, there was a Brahmin named Ajāmila who married a prostitute maidservant and lost all his Brahminical qualities because of the association of that low-class woman. The fault of illicit connection with women is that it makes one lose all Brahminical qualities. In India, there is still a class of servants called Shudras, whose maidservant wives are called Shudranis. Sometimes people who are very lusty establish relationships with such maidservants and sweeping women, since in the higher statuses of society, they cannot indulge in the habit of woman hunting, which is strictly prohibited by social convention. Ajāmila, a qualified Brahmana youth, lost all his Brahminical qualities because of his association with a prostitute. But he was ultimately saved because he had begun the process of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, in the previous verse, Sukadeva Goswami spoke of the person who has only once surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord, Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo, or has just begun the Bhakti Yoga process. Bhakti Yoga begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing and chanting of Lord Vishnu's names, as in the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here Sukadeva Goswami is speaking about the story of Ajāmila. It is a story coming from the Puranas. And he's saying Ajāmila was a Brahman, but he lost all his Brahmanical qualification because he married a prostitute, a Shudrani. But he had begun devotional service. He was a devotee. He was a devotee. Somehow or the other, he got captivated by the prostitute. And that's why Prabhupada is mentioning that Sukadeva Goswami is saying that once one surrenders and then falls down from that practice, still he is protected. So Bhakti Yoga begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing and chanting of Lord Vishnu's names. By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So chanting is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. Surrender to Krishna begins when we start chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Therefore, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu declares, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalau nasteva, nasteva gatir anyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. The process of chanting the holy name of the Lord is always superbly effective but it is especially effective in this age of Kali. So it's not that the chanting was not done in earlier ages. All the ages chanting was done along with the other processes. But in this age of Kali, because we are incapable of doing any other process, so we are said, okay, you just chant. Its practical effectiveness will now be explained by Sukadev Goswami through the history of Ajāmila, who was freed from the hands of the Yamadutas simply because of chanting the holy name of Narayan. Parikshit Maharaj's original question was how to be freed from falling down into hell or into the hands of the Yamadutas. In reply, Sukadev Goswami is citing this old historical example to convince Parikshit Maharaj of the potency of Bhakti Yoga, which begins simply with the chanting of the Lord's name. So Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadev Goswami how to save one from hell. So Sukadev Goswami said, engage in devotional service, surrender to Krishna, and one who has surrendered to Krishna even once can be saved. And to explain to Parikshit Maharaj how it is actually happens, he's telling him the story of Ajāmila, which is a real, true story. So he's giving him evidence that, see, this is how it happens. All the great authorities of Bhakti Yoga recommend the devotional process beginning with the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Tan nama grahanati bihi. Any questions, comments?
Just one question, Shilpaji. So even Prahlad Maharaj will be here because he also remembered in the remembering, not into that he fall down and then he was, no, but only the remembrance, how you said that bhakti begins from Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So he heard in his mother's womb and then he started chanting. He always remembered Krishna, right?
Yeah. One of the limbs of Bhakti. Yeah, he
One
was
of the
always
limbs of bhakti.
remembering.
He was always remembering, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. He's our Acharya to show how one gets perfection by remembering the Lord.
Remembering. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Bandi Akshay Caitavaischauryer.
Bandi rakshe kaitave shaurye
Garhitam Vritim Astitaha.
garhitam vritam astitaha
Bhibrat Kutumbam Ashuchir.
vibrat kutumbam ashuchi
Yatayam Asadehinaha.
yatayam asadehina.
This fallen Brahmana Ajāmila gave trouble to others by arresting them, by cheating them in gambling, or by directly plundering them. This was the way he earned his livelihood and maintained his wife and children. This verse indicates how degraded one becomes simply by indulging in illicit sex with a prostitute. Illicit sex is not possible with a chaste or aristocratic woman, but only with unchaste Shudras. The more society allows prostitution and illicit sex, the more impetus it gives to cheaters, thieves, plunderers, drunkards, and gamblers. Therefore, we first advise all the disciples in our Krishna consciousness movement to avoid illicit sex, which is the beginning of all abominable life and which is followed by meat eating, gambling, and intoxication one after another. Actually, Ajāmila was already married. He was a Brahmana, he had very good parents, he had a very good wife, but he abandoned his wife and he married this prostitute. Now, to maintain this prostitute, then he is becoming a thief, plundering, he takes to drinking, he's cheating. This is how he was maintaining the prostitute and the children that he got with her. So then that's why Prabhupada is here pointing out the regulative principle to avoid illicit sex, then which is followed by meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. Of course, restraint is very difficult, but it is quite possible if one fully surrenders to Krishna, since all these abominable habits gradually become distasteful for a Krishna conscious person. If illicit sex is allowed to increase in a society, however, the entire society will be condemned, for it will be full of rogues, thieves, cheaters, and so forth. And this is the reason why we have the institution of marriage, to keep the society peaceful, keep it safe. Yes. So, okay, we'll read one more then. Evam nivasatastasya
Evam nivasata tasya
lalayanasya tatsutan
lalanayasya
Tatsutan.
tatsutan
kalo tyagan mahan rajan
kalo
Kalo
tyagat mahan rajan
ashtashityayushah sama
ashtasitaya ayusha sama.
My dear king, while he thus spent his time in abominable sinful activities to maintain his family of many sons, 88 years of his life passed by. So he's 88 years old and he's still robbing, plundering, cheating others to maintain his family. So we can see that how much degraded he's gotten. He was a pious Brahmana. He had begun his devotional service, and now he's come to this degree now. Okay, I think we might have to stop here, no? Yeah. So
Yeah, we can stop here.
yeah, we'll stop here and we'll continue reading tomorrow. Shla Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.